I am going to use today, hello Heidi. So for any of those new friends out there, I'm Christy, Joyful Art Studio, and I have a mobile paint art studio that is local to Northern California, and I've just been doing these lives with my art friends here. And so today we are going to do sunflowers inspired by Van Gogh. So I'm just getting out my primaries in my acrylics. I actually pulled out this old sample that I did with the kids maybe a couple years ago, I don't even know. But we did that one in watercolors, as you can see. So I thought it would be fun to just look at that because some of you might be painting in watercolors, some might be painting in acrylic. Got all kinds of different paints going on here. And so I am just loading up my palette. I'm going to use just primaries today, just because it's fun that way and it's a great way to learn how to mix your colors. I was trying to pull up, so my printer is not printing any color right now, and I was pulling up on this other iPad. Here we go. But it's my husband's iPad, so, you know. Just some samples of Van Gogh's sunflower work. I have one printout here. Just need some paper towels. Get myself all situated. And then we'll get started. How is everybody doing today? Today, Tracy, I'm going to paint with acrylics. So I have got... my choices would be watercolor paper, which I always love to paint on. I happen to have some of this in my studio that I love also. And it is, it's paper, but it has like a texture of canvas. And it's not quite as absorbent as watercolor paper. But again, you know, depending on what type of paint you're going to use, that'll determine also what kind of paper. I'm going to paint with acrylics, so I'm going to use this paper, but watercolor would work with acrylics. If you're going to do watercolor painting, I would not use that. I would go for something watercolor paper. Okay? And then I have my palette here. This is just my enamel tray. You can see I've got my primaries here, using just a warm traditional color palette, and I'm just going to draw it out with my paintbrush and some paint and get started from there. But so Van Gogh, he's one of my favorites. I really love his work. I am all about the texture, and this is one photo that I print out that I love to show the kids, that if you look really close here, you can just feel, your eyes can just see all that thick paint and texture. They were known for not mixing lots of colors on their palette. They let it mix on their canvas, and they, of course, didn't have a whole variety of colors. They loved to work in still lifes and things like that. And if you know much about Van Gogh, he wasn't a painter for a long time, probably about 9 years or so, before he passed away. And he made over 900 paintings during that time. And the ones that are most familiar to us are probably Starry Night, some of his sunflowers, and you know, they often used colors that reflected their feelings, and so for him, blue and yellow are very much the colors that he is very well known for. He was from Holland in the 1800s, and here are some, let's see if we can do this without, so here are some of his sunflower pictures, and he would just study and study and study still lifes. doing them with different backgrounds, see what he likes better. And I love his sunflowers. I always tell everybody, you know, they're always frustrated. They can't do something. And, you know, Van Gogh, all those masters, they painted things hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. And that's why it looks so awesome. By the time you saw it, you know, it had been mastered. They had studied it so much. And he sold one painting his entire life. And it was after he passed away that he became famous for his work. Where is Jilly? Jilly is out with her brother, walking the dogs, and doing her gymnastics exercises that she has been getting from the gym, and she just needed a little break today. She's just, you know, having a Jilly day. She's just kind of doing that for today. So you're stuck with just me. I'm sorry. I'll make her come next week, okay? I'll tell her that you asked for her, okay? So what I'm going to do, I can just put this one. This one's kind of the drawing. You know, this was one I did with some younger kids. And, excuse me, my nose is so itchy today that my allergies are terrible. Just I did with younger kids. I would say with the acrylics, you know, usually this lesson's geared towards older elementary, 6th, maybe even 7th grade and adults. But, of course, I am all about letting all ages watch it and try it and play and learn and do what they want to do. It's all about the process, and it's not as important about the end result. So I hope all ages try to get some Van Gogh in their life. But, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my water, and I'm going to just get a little bit of red. And that's what I'm going to sketch it with. I'm mixing a tiny bit of water in it, so it's kind of loose. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start with my my vase. And you can really do whatever. He often had one that was a bit, you know, rounded at the bottom and kind of went in. Let me rotate this a little bit. Can you guys see that better? And maybe I will even, do I have any tape here? It's going to tape it up, but that's okay. All right. And then you just kind of want to give yourself a little bit of a guideline for your tabletop, because the vase usually doesn't float in the air, does it? Okay. And then I want to give some shapes just for my flowers. So I'm going to do a couple different kinds of sunflowers like he did. And so maybe I'll just give myself some guides by doing circles. And I know that I want my flowers to take over this part of the painting, because our picture's not about the background. It is about just the flower bouquet, and that's the main star of the show, and we want that to be the focus. Robin, I'm just using red, and I'm just sketching with it. It really doesn't matter. So use what you want, because I'm just watered it down a little bit. It'll be dry. See, this is already even dry, just so that I have a nice sketch there. All right. Here we go. So I'm going to do some, you can see I'm doing some as ovals. And some as circles, and I'm just giving myself kind of a layout for that to begin with. And I have somebody picking up masks. Hold on. I made some masks with some fabric that I had. And she's picking them up. So, anyway, All right, let's get going. And then, so we're going to have one flower. Some artists will call it a hero flower or the main flower. And so I'm going to make this guy my main flower and the focus point. And so this will be the center of it. Maybe I'll bring it in a little smaller. And then I'm just going to bring some long ovals here off of the center. And you can see how I'm not really... this is just a sketch, and I'm doing this in acrylic, so I'll be able to paint all over this. If you are doing this in watercolor, you could be drawing in pencil or maybe even some chalk, something like that. Okay, so I've got my little center here, and this is really how I lay out work when I'm doing it too. I don't even start with white paper. I would have a bunch of paint on there, but for this project, I'm going to do that flower, and then I'm going to come over and maybe go on. I had a circle here a little bit, and he's going to kind of come looking over towards me. So this one we're looking straight on, right? And so this other one, I'm going to do most of his petals coming as if he's maybe facing off that page to the left. And if you go off the page, that's okay. That's actually a good way to do your paintings. Then I've got this one up here. Maybe, you know, he used to do a lot of sunflowers that weren't just this style. They were that more bunchy, you know, like a big ball on the end of a string. Not string, the stem. You know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to do some of those. And then let's see, maybe this guy's one of those round ones also. And then this guy maybe droops down with some droopy yellow. And most of the top's going to be hidden. And then maybe this guy, his will come off, you know, so I'm going to do some petals kind of drooping off the side there for him. So all we're going to see, since it's on its side, are the edge of these petals where it touches the center, and then it's going to drop off and kind of droop and go behind this big center flower here. That's our main flower. And then I maybe want one of those little fluffy flowers right here too. Let me show you those again. And the website that I'm showing you his artwork on is called Wiki Art, WIKI art.org. And so you can see here how some of them are kind of round, and then these ones are the more traditional ones that we're used to seeing. But he always incorporated those two different types of sunflowers. Maybe that he had a lot of that around where he lived. Get my little drink, okay? And then often his vase would be like two-toned. Does that make sense? And there we go. That's our drawing. Is everybody are you watching today? Are you going to do the replay? What's everybody's plan for this today? Paint along with me. Let's see. I'm sorry. Nobody's here right now, and I'm gonna let that dry. All right. Okay, so the first part I'm going to do is I'm going to come in on and do my background. And so those that know me know I love me some blue. And so I'm going to go ahead and do some of that. But I want to do more of a turquoise color of blue, kind of a blend of blue with a little bit of yellow. And so I'm going to make that mostly blue. But I also want some white because I don't want it to be, let's see. Because a lot of their colors, some of their colors wouldn't have been quite as vibrant as ours today. So see, I'm kind of going in. I've got this blue going. And then maybe a little bit of yellow over here. I don't want it to be too yellow. And I'm going to do some double dipping because I want my paints to mix on my palette. Hello, Miss Kathy. Looks like your Laura's on here also, maybe. So I'm going to load up with some blue. Then I'm going to even touch some white. And I'm just going to start coming in here and just kind of blocking in that background. Kind of getting in between all these flowers. I'm using my wider brush now because it's a bigger space and I don't want to be concerned with all the details. Robin's painting along. She the only one painting along with me? Maybe Tracy and Sophia are. She asked me what kind of paper. You guys been doing any other creative activities? And I'm letting all those brush strokes stay. I don't want to mix it too much. And just remember that you can watch the replay and that if I was to actually do this with a class, I would most likely split this into about 3 classes. Jilly is walking the dogs with her brother. That's what she's up to right now. Maybe she needs a break from me. I don't know. You're painting, Jessica? Awesome. Are you painting in acrylics or are you painting in another medium? This would be fun in oil pastels too. They're so chunky and textury. I would love that too. And I ended up with more of a blue than a turquoise, but I am okay with that. This yellow I have is really warm that I pulled. I honestly didn't even look at the colors. I just grabbed yellow, blue, and red. I did not get too caught up in exactly what yellow it was. Looks like I have a deep yellow. I may have to go over there and grab a brighter yellow. We'll see what happens when we go in for some of these greens. I'm going to wash off this brush a little bit. And then, let's see. I want some of his reference ones, but since I don't have a painting like printed, I keep needing to look at my iPad. But also, I'll drop down a link later for the wiki if you guys don't remember that. And then also, goodness, sorry. That way, and I'll give you a link exactly to what. Oh, mixed media paper. That's a great paper too. I love painting on that too. That's a good one, and it's easy to get also. My screen keeps going away. So, and now I'm going to come down here and do my tabletop, and I'm going to do it in a little bit of a brown. And so, since I don't have a brown, I'm going to mix one. And so, Brown you make by mixing complementary colors. And since I'm only using my primaries, I don't really have any complementary colors yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little bit of a purple, which with these ones is going to be a pretty warm purple. And then the complementary color for purple is yellow. So to get a good brown, so there's my purple. It's kind of dark, and then I'm going to come in here with some of this yellow. And I like to do this with my primary colors. I like to mix with them instead of always grabbing them from the container already made, because it makes your colors that much more interesting. So I'm just going to come in here. It's kind of got this brownish and use some yellow with it. Come around, block in my and if you ever looked at his, well, especially his sunflowers, he always used to sign them in an interesting spot. You'll have to check it out. See if you can tell me where he signed his artwork. And as you can see, I'm not spending lots of time mixing those. I'm just getting the paint on there, blocking in all my spaces. Letting some of that purple be purple, and then you notice that that yellow is a bit transparent, which is totally normal. And if I want to lighten it a little bit, I'm going, let me grab some tape. Get this guy up higher for you. And me. Here we go. There, that's a little better. Everybody see that better? I'm just coming in with a little bit of yellow mixed with white because I wanted this to be a little bit lighter. And the yellow is so transparent that mixing white with it will bump up its opacity. Some of those colors. It'll leave it a little more golden over here, because I'm gonna feel like my light source is coming from the right, and so this way would be, so if my light source is coming here, my shadow is gonna be over here more. And I could pop in some of that purple there. Purple's a great color for shadow, so I'm just going to block that in a little bit. There we go. How's everybody doing if you're painting along? Is everybody, I know that some of you are joining me on Saturday for the paint workshop that I'm doing. We're going to be doing some cactus. That'll be fun. So, the next part, I'm thirsty today. I think it's my allergies and my, oh, I just need to keep taking a drink, so sorry about that. I'm going to come in and block in a little bit of my vase. I'm going to take a little bit of that brown and mix it with some white. And depending on what brown you made, like if it was purple heavy or blue heavy, That might show through a little bit. And remember, we can come back in later and refine these shapes and details. Right now, we're just kind of what would be called an underpainting, which is a very traditional way to go about painting in acrylic. That's okay, Tracy. Take your time, and because remember, I would break this up into probably a 2 to 3 hour class for people, so I am doing this fast. I tend to be a fast painter. So yes, it's a very traditional way to paint in acrylics, especially in a still life or a landscape, going in, sketching your idea or whatever you're working on, and then going and blocking in all the colors, which is what I'm doing now, and then coming back at another time after that's dried and refining everything, adding your details that you want, adding more layers of color. Acrylic looks really amazing, and oils as well, building up all those layers, which is what's so wonderful about using acrylics, because one layer dries, you can build up another layer, and they kind of all peek through each other and give it all that depth and texture and interest. You can't technically, you definitely can't do it in the same way as acrylics when you work with watercolor. So you have to be kind of aware of that. It's just a totally different way of going about it. But you can layer it, just it's a bit backwards. Like acrylics, you can build up and just put lights on darks, but watercolor, everything is transparent, so you have to think about all those different transparent layers going on top of each other. So the next part, I'm just going to make my vase here. And I'm going to put yellow on the top of it. This is kind of more of a traditional of what he would have had. He must have had a vase like this in his little room. That is also very famous in a lot of his paintings, that little room he lived in that house with roommates. And so, and that was what, looking out of that room is what gave him the inspiration for Starry Night, because that was the landscape that he saw out of his window. Okay. Now I'm going to come in and start blocking in my sunflowers. And I'm just making sure I have my little notes here. So I don't forget, because sometimes I just start painting and then I forget that I'm doing it with you, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to get a little bit of red, bring it over here. I'm going to go from dark to light on these sunflowers. So I'm going to get like a deep orange. So I'm mixing my red and my yellow. So I've got this dark orange, but I don't want it to be so vibrant. And so in order to dull it down a little bit, I'm going to add a touch of blue, because blue and orange are complementary colors, so they look awesome next to each other, but if I mix them, they'll make brown. So if I just want to tone down a hue, I take its complementary color, just a touch of it, see, barely any, and I'm going to mix it into that orange, and that's just going to make it a little less vibrant. So I've got this kind of pumpkin-y orange going on now. And I'm going to start with these big flowers. And so I'm going to start at the tip and just kind of twist in with this orangey color. So I'm touching and then twisting. I'm still using that big flat brush because I'm just blocking in colors. I don't want to get caught up in all the small little lines. So I'm still using my big flat brush. can always refine stuff. Coming into this center. I've got this big hero flower here. And the other nice thing when you're using only a limited palette, by making your colors from primaries, then the cool part is that as you're making all your own colors, they automatically kind of blend together and match and give it some balance because you're using the same types of colors throughout. Come over here. And there's nothing wrong with like looking at masters' works and being inspired by them, and even doing a replication in your way. That they do it. Painters do it all the time. It's how you learn and grow as a painter. So. I'm still, my painting's looking a bit like a hot mess, but that's okay. We're going to come in and oh, I hear some people coming in. Okay? How's everybody doing out there? I'm going to actually use a little bit of a lighter orange to block in my other type of sunflower. So I'm just going to add some yellow to that. And I notice in his that he often, the center, I'm not as familiar with this type of a sunflower. Must be something more traditional for Holland. But often the insides were more of a green. So we'll do that in a little bit. Getting paint all over me. What is new? And I'm washing off my brush, painting it on my paper towel. Getting a sip of drink. How's everybody doing? Good? Wondering what I'm doing here with all my orange and brown and stuff going on? Alright, I'm going to make brown again out of this purple. So I can come in and just block in these centers a little bit. Those other ones, I was going to do green. Okay. I'm going to wash that. I'm going to make some green. Grab a lot of yellow and a little bit of blue. I don't love the green that this primaries are making, but that's okay. That's what happens. Kind of fun even to use non-traditional primaries to make your palette. Doesn't even look green. I'm going to get a different yellow. I can't handle it. I have grabbed some lemon yellow. Let's see if I can get a little more vibrant of a green. I just want it a little bit brighter than what's coming out of there. Aha! Yeah, so that lemon yellow is the trick. I think that because the yellow I was using, it was a deep yellow. And so it kind of was really just too muddied already. But I am going to add a little bit of what I had to this bright green. So now I've kind of got a better green going on over here. See that? And I did add a touch of this, well, that funky color there, which I don't love. All right, now let's drop that in there. Ah, that's better. I'm happier with that. There's one kind of hidden back in here. All right. Need to make this not disappear. Let's see. Never. Okay. I think we'll be good now. I just like to see all these colors that he's using. You guys doing okay? Those that are with me? Every time I do my water, my whole table shakes. And my table up on risers. I like to stand a lot, and so I actually, my table is really like counter height, and then I have a I'm sitting on like a bar stool type chair because I like to be high, because I'm more of a stander usually if I'm working on stuff. So anyway, all right, I'm gonna come in. It froze for you. I'm sorry. All right, let's get start brightening up these flowers a little bit. I'm going to actually come in a little bit behind. Get some of that orange and some yellow. Oh, sorry. I don't know what's happening. The internet's so goofy. I think it's just so many people are on it because of being home, and Facebook has got so many different businesses going live and taking advantage of Facebook and Instagram that people are really having a hard time. I know Instagram's really having a hard time with freezing, so just catch up when it comes. So I just added some yellow to my orange here. Going around this guy. And this guy too. And some yellow. Maybe just a touch of white to get some opacity going on. Because it's yellow tends to be pretty transparent alone. Kind of just cutting in with my brush around this guy. And let's come down here and do him. A little touch of white. this little guy peeking back. So I'm building up from the background forward. There we go. There's those ones. We'll probably take that green darker too once they dry. Hello, Tammy. We are, so if you guys are, if anybody is just joining us, we are doing a bouquet of sunflowers inspired by the works of Van Gogh. And so I'm going to come in here with my bigger ones. I'm still using this big brush, as you can see, but now I'm going a little bit lighter. That darker color is going to show through. Maybe a little bit of white in there. And I keep looking at it over there. It's easier for me to see. Oh, I missed what you said, Tammy. Oh, you're sweet. Are you doing a watch party? I don't even know how that works. Does anybody know how a watch party works? Maybe Tammy's doing that. Is that what you're talking about? Can't tell. I know, I'm sorry, Robin, but remember I have to. People get hangry at my house. Yeah, in-person ones are fun. One day. Hopefully. I haven't even been watching the news, so I have no idea. Oh, you're sharing this live? Is that like a watch party? No, it's not a watch party. What does that mean? People help me out. Oh, there's somebody else. Okay. Let's get in some of these other ones. And that brown wasn't dry, but that's okay. I don't care. It's a bit smeary. Bringing in some white too. All right. Sunflowers should, like we've been having tons of rain. If you're not from this area, we are here in Northern California, and we get a lot of sunflower fields where we are, and they should be peaking up soon. At least the ones that have seeded from the fields from the last year. Sometimes along the roadways, those will pop up. We've already had the California poppies popping up, which are always beautiful. I'm going to shove that in there too. All right. Still looking like a hot mess, but that's okay. I'm going to come in with my smaller brush in a minute. Kind of just pull some of this together. I'm actually going to add some greenery too. then the replay will be here. I still need to post the replay from Tuesday up on YouTube. My internet is giving me fits, and so it took me forever to get it to download, and now I just edited it and it will come back. So if anybody, I see we've got some more people on here. Welcome. I'm Christy from Joyful Art Studio, and I do art classes for kids and adults, and we've just been having some fun creating in my studio while we're all at home a couple times a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And just to bring you a little inspiration, a glimpse of what we do in my classes, and art is so amazing for your mind, especially in stressful times like this. So I hope, I just want to inspire people to get creating, okay? So welcome, thanks for checking it out. So I'm going to go ahead and get my littler round brush, which actually is not so little, it's like a 12. I'm a big brush user because I like the texture. I like to keep it loose. And so I'm going to make some more of that green, but a little bit darker. So you can start coming in, adding in some my bouquet is pretty tight, so I don't want to go too many stems, but I feel like we need some variety in here going on. So I'm going to I feel like we need something here, and that's super. I'm going to add some blue to that. Maybe peek some in here. And I'm kind of just pressing for my tip, maybe that one's off the page, and rolling my brush a little bit to get these irregular shapes. See that? And then I had some green, and so I was adding in a little bit of blue to make it darker. Like touching, pressing, and turning my brush to get those darker colors. Okay, yeah, I think that helps a little bit. And I'm gonna put maybe one in here too, just to break up. I feel like these flowers need to be broken up some. And then let's put a hint of one in here. Maybe there's one in here too. Let's break up this guy too. It was looking like a big yellow blob a bit. All right, and then I'm gonna come in on these ones and add some more green. Darken that a little bit. Just kind of smushing it in there. Not any kind of. And then if you want it darker, you just add some blue to that green. That's going to darken it. So it's not just one color. Has a little bit of variety in those hues. Okay. Then I'm going to bring in some more of that yellow. Just to, while my leaves are still a little bit wet, using yellow as my highlight, because with green, if you add white to green, it will turn really minty. And for this, it's definitely not a color I want. I might do some like brushes of highlight at the end just because I like that, but and since I ran over there and got a different yellow, and I don't want to totally mess up the harmony of my colors. So I originally started with this really warm yellow, this deep yellow, and I have it's like an ultramarine blue I don't even know. Yep, it's ultramarine blue, which is a warmer blue. And then I have this warmer red. But when I was making my yellows and my oranges, it really wasn't making the... I wanted a little bit more of a brighter color. And especially when I went to make my greens, so I went and grabbed some lemon yellow. But, so because I did that, I'm kind of messing up the harmony of my little palette here. So I'm double dipping when I'm doing just yellow. You'll see what I mean in a minute. I'm going to come in and start highlighting some of these sunflowers. I'm dipping in both the yellows because I want to bring them both in, especially on these guys, to change them a little bit. See that? I've got some green on my brush that I don't totally want. There we go. And what I do when I'm doing this is I just keep on layering until I get the look I want. So now I'm coming in with some lighter colors, quickly redefining those stems, and it's looking a little bit bright, so that's okay. I can touch back into that orange I had going on. And bring that back in. To push it back a little bit. Yeah, it'll look, when we get some definition going on, get some of this warm yellow with a little bit of white over here. So I just touched a little bit of white. So I'm just keep on building and building and building till we get there. Okay, let's do some more of that. I need more yellow. How's everybody doing? Hello, Grant. We are painting some sunflowers inspired by Van Gogh's work. I'm going to come in and start defining this guy here. I'm working on these guys here a little bit. Get some white and better yellow in there. And then when I come in with all the browns and the centers, all of it will start popping and we'll get it all to pull together. Because this is like the hot mess phase. Robin knows about that. Like I always talk about it. You got to get through the hot mess phase. You got to be able to push through that and not get frustrated. Because like right now, if I look at it, I'm like, it's a bit of a hot mess. But that's okay. You got to push through those layers and get those hot messes into something else. Because that's what's great about acrylics is these layers and layers. And I'm looking at it on there because it's hard for me to see sideways. I don't usually paint like this, so that's why I keep kind of looking at the screen while I put some strokes down, look at the screen. Okay. Now I'm going to come in a little bit and start bringing in that brown. Are you talking to me, Robin? Because I need to have patience too. So I'm going to get some brown made again, which I made with the red and the blue because I went for a purple yellow combo So our complementary colors are going to make our brown, so I need to make a purple and then throw in some yellow to that, which will make a deep purple, like the ones with the colors I'm using, it is a plummy purple that I've got going on. And then when I want to darken it, so I've got this brown that I've got going on in here, and then to darken it, I'm going to add a little bit of blue to part of it. Because the blue, I don't love to use black. I feel like in these types of works, I feel like the black is super flat and just kind of like is an energy. It kind of sucks a little bit of the energy. Like in abstracts and stuff, that's a totally different story, and I do like some black in that because it adds awesome contrast. But with these, I feel like I don't like to use black. I like to make interesting dark colors that and then I'm even going to leave a little bit of that blue in there because that's going to balance out that blue in the background. So I'm just coming in a couple of these. These green ones, I'm going to add a little bit of the brown in there just for depth. Not a lot because those ones were not necessarily a brown centered flower like our other one. I might give some lines to the bottoms of my leaves to bring that color around and balance things out. Okay. Give some depth to those leaves and some shape. And I'm going to use some yellow in here, let that kind of blend on there for the centers, the highlight reflection of my sunflowers. Yellow is a good color for that. And as it dries, it will blend even more. I'm just kind of dabbing it in there. Does anybody have a... Oh, it just stopped on me. Did it freeze for you? But now I'm back. Just like went zoop. So hopefully y'all are still there. Looks like you are. And I'll make a little bit of this taupey color. It didn't freeze up. Oh, for a second. Okay, so it did. Maybe this might be a crazy time of the day to try this. I might be able to bring it earlier, but I need to my kids with their schooling. They kind of need the computer during the day. We only have one. Well, my daughter has a computer and my son has a Chromebook from school, but we only have one computer. So my other daughter uses that in the morning for her live classes and some of her schoolwork, because otherwise we just have iPads. So, and then my husband has his work computer, but that one. All right. I'm going to let those dry a little bit. I'm not loving this right here. That's kind of funky to me. It's like a weird, funny color. I'm going to bring in a little bit of this. I know, weird. I'm going to come back in and define it with that red. And then I'm going to maybe make a blue or brown. Maybe I will like that. Does anybody know where Van Gogh signed a lot of his paintings, his sunflowers? You guys know that? Well, I kind of like that purple with the yellow. It's like a plum. So, oh good, y'all are still trekking along. Did you give up painting, Robin, or are you still painting with me? It is hidden in the pic, Melissa. So usually Van Gogh, like when he did his vases, at least in the phase when he was doing sunflowers, he kind of did it right in here. Good job. Ooh, that's super white. Just adding some lighter color there on this side of the vase. I need to change this a bit too because it is blending in with those sunflowers. So I'm going to bring it a little bit lighter. Not necessarily that light, but it's too light. That's okay. We shall fix it. Happy accidents, right? I'm going to wash off my brush. I haven't done that in a while. Yay, Melissa. All right. Okie dokie. So, I want my red. I'm going to make a red, but I want it to be a little bit darker, so I'm going to add a little bit of blue. For a little bit in these sunflowers a bit to give them see how that's kind of darkening that a bit, and maybe I'll like lightly let some veins go this way. And here goes my finger. I'm a big finger user. It's a bit red, so I'm gonna touch it in that brown a little bit, that purple. And I'll probably lighten it up again. I could go back and forth for a very long time when it's just me. Where else we got these guys? Over here. Kind of need to make these guys separate a little bit. Just make sure that's not my... All right. Got some darks. Let's do... making more brown. Maybe some oh, that's okay. I'm not saying much, Robin. Just making this darker mustard color to kind of give these guys a little bit of form. Not such a blob. that. I'm definitely going to come in here and lighten some of this stuff up. Oh, you're all done? I know, Lucy's super speedy. Okay, I'm almost done though, so I'm going to just make some light color. I don't like that. See, this is what happens when I wing it. You get to see me like work through all this. Look, I don't like it. Here we go. Just gonna give us some highlights on these guys. And then the other thing I'm going to do, this is not necessarily like a Van Gogh thing, but I'm going to come in with a little bit of some purple, because I want to, instead of using black, I want to use some purple to do some lines in my sunflowers, and the purple is the opposite of yellow, so that'll really help them to pop a little bit. So, comes my, see. Get some more of this in here. Just get some. Getting there. Okie dokie. See, this is something I would probably do all this and then come back tomorrow and look, because I need to step away from it, because I'm just going to keep on playing with it. Which, not always the best thing. Here we go. I think that's a little bit too much white on there, but on those, that big one, dull that down a little bit with some yellow. Anyway, okay. So, oh good. I'm about done here, Melissa. I'll just keep playing with it if I'm not careful. And then let's get some of that in there. Oop, that's too light. All right, so if you haven't signed up for Saturday, it is a free event. A free paint party. There we go. And all you have to do is sign up for it, and then you'll get a link to the private group. If you're local, I do have some supplies. I could put a kit together for you, and that's also on my website or on my, like, where you register. The option for that is there. And I will probably play with this a little more, but I'll try to send a finished pic. So I hope you guys have a great night and enjoy your evening. And hopefully I'll see you again soon. Thanks, everybody.